Okay then, time for radio with a live audience. Access Manor 2 brings this series back for late on in 2017. And regular followers, thank you very much for my coffee. We are at Halcyon Cafe, big ups to them for supporting us and doing stuff out in the community. Regular followers of Access Manor 2 will remember back in March, Festival of Cultures, we had Mr. Dirty Harry and Nat Lover presenting a special episode, a special programme called Talking All That Jazz. Chance to play some original jazz music and how it related to contemporary culture. Some good discussions around that as well. Hoping for more of that today as Nat Lover brings back Talking All That Jazz here at Halcyon Cafe. For those here or outside the cafe today, this programme will be broadcast in its entirety on Access Manor 2 on Sunday the 26th, I believe, of November, so make sure you're listening out for that. 2 p.m. on Access Manor 2, 999 a.m. also online at accessmanor2.co.nz. Without further ado, we hand over to our host for Talking All That Jazz today, Mr. Nat Lover.
Everybody's aware of. I ain't gonna tell on you, you don't tell on me, man. I think you know what we're trying to cover up.
Kia ora koutou katoa. So yes, my name is Nat Lover. Thank you to the Halcyon, wonderful place here on Cuba Street, and big ups to Fraser and his team at Access Manor 2. It's good to be back here today. Dirty Harry couldn't make it, so I'm his substitute for the Talking All That Jazz. So again, yeah, I'm not a guru on jazz music. I could get schooled by my seniors any day of the week. But what I do have is a relationship with jazz music. It's been a wonderful relationship that was passed on to me from a few of my mentors in the DJ realm. And it's jazz's intimate and ultimate relationship with rap and hip-hop culture. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and play lots of my jazz records that I have in my collection, and I'll just talk a bit about those records as we go along for the next hour. So that intro beat is actually a rap album by an artist called J. Rue the Damager from Brooklyn, New York, and he sampled sketches of Spain by Miles Davis to create that feel, that vibe, which when we were 16 in like 1996, we were just amazed by these sounds within rap music, but what we didn't know at that time was that we were listening to jazz music. So one of the first records that where I made that connection with vinyl was one day a record collector and DJ called So Dramatic from Wanganui. I walked into his studio one day and he was playing this record, and it just sounded like rap music and hip-hop beats to me. But it was Herbie Hancock, and it was Watermelon Man from Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters album. Let's check it out. So that was Herbie Hancock off the album Headhunters on CBS, and the name of that track is Watermelon Man. One thing I like about Herbie Hancock is he's one of those jazz artists that spans right back to the very early 60s, and with the changeover to electronic instruments, he continued to put out a lot of music and be influential in contemporary music. So I think from the days of his Blue Note albums in that era, where he did Maiden Voyage, right through to featuring on albums by the Guru like Jazzmatazz 2 and 4, just really amazing. So this is more of his the fusion era for jazz with rock influences and funk. I'm just going to play another one by Herbie. It's off the album Fat Albert Rotunda, and this song's called Lil Brother. So it's funky jazz. So that was Little Brother by Herbie Hancock off the album Fat Albert Rotunda. So it's got that real television theme because it was actually scored for the cartoons. Yeah. So next artist I'm going to play is one of the queens of jazz and soul, is Nina Simone. I picked this record up in Wanganui at the record fair earlier on this year, and I've been looking for this record for a long time. So it's her album. It's Not Finished, which is from 1974, and the name of the track is Funkier Than a Mosquito's Tweeter.
Nothing but a dirty, dirty old man. You do your thinking with a one-track mind. Keep talking about heaven and glory, but on your face is a different story. Clean up your rap, your story's getting dusty. Wash out your mouth, your lies are getting rusty. Can't believe nothing you say, 'cause I'm around and I see what you do. You know you're funkier than a mosquito's tweeter. You got a mouth like a herd of bold weavers. Same old game, same old thing. You never change, always rapping about the same old thing. I got something to tell you. I got something to tell you, baby, that you ain't hip to, baby. Blowing minds is a thing of the past. You blew your chance, that's why you never last. You wanna be a graduated mother, but in reality you're just another brother. You think you slick, but you could stand a lot of greasing. The things you do ain't never really pleasing. Can't believe nothing you say. I'm around to see what you do. You know you're funkier than a mosquito's tweeter. You got a mouth like a herd of bold weavers. Same old game, same old thing. Always rapping about the same old thing. Hold on now. Ooh, you're beautiful. 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 Put yourself upon a big stool. Nothing worse than an educated fool. Talking sex is your favorite conversation, but peace and love is a famous generation. What's in your head worries really started showing. Your conversation's getting kind of boring. Can't believe nothing you say, 'cause I'm around and I see what you do. You know you're funkier than a mosquito's tweeter. You got a mouth like a herd of boll weavers. Same old game, same old game, same old thing. You never change. Same old game, same old thing. Always rapping about the same old thing.
So that was Nina Simone, Funkier Than a Mosquito's Tweeter, and what an incredible performance that was for that band. Yeah, question?
I have a question. You said that you've been looking for that one for a while.
Yes.
Is it a particularly sought after one?
I'm not sure if it's sought after. A little story behind it was played to me by local Damien McGregor, D Fresh, years and years ago, and I just like fell in love with the song. Yeah. And the cover too, she's Nina sitting there with a floral dress on amongst a giant pile of coconut husks. So it's quite classic. Yeah, so that was Nina Simone. Now I'm just going to keep it kind of in the 70s. I'm going to play Donald Byrd from the album Blackbird. It's a Blue Note album, and this is a great album from the later Blue Note releases. So I'm just going to get into that. But anyway, for anyone tuning in, so I'm Nat Lover. This is Talking All That Jazz show on Access 102, 999 AM, or access102.co.nz. Yes. Big up to the Halcyon. I just got this great chocolate milkshake that Ali made for me, and I recommend you come down on Cuba Street, Halcyon. It's a cafe and a bar as well, and yeah, they're doing great things, so come on down. All right, here we go. Donald Byrd. The track's called Where Are We Going? So that was Love So Far Away. Beg your pardon, I got the title wrong before I played it. Love So Far Away by Donald Byrd off the album Blackbird on Blue Note Records. And just out of interest, that song was written by Larry Mizell. So Larry Mizell was a part of a songwriting team with his brother Alfonso Mizell, and they used to write some incredible music out of New York in the 60s and 70s. So he wrote most of the songs on this Donald Byrd album. And the record I'm about to play, which is Bobby Humphrey, she was a flautist for Blue Note Records. Most of this album by Bobby Humphrey was also released around the same time as this Donald Byrd record, and most of the songs were written by Larry Mizell. So here we go. We're just going to cool it out a little bit now. Bring it down, bring it down. Shout out to everybody listening in. This is Talking All That Jazz with Nat Lover. So that was Blacks and Blues by Bobby Humphrey. That's Humphrey is an Humphrey. And she's a jazz flautist, as I said, from Chicago. And her whole album pretty much was written by Larry Mizell, and you can hear his beautiful harmonies in the background of that composition to complement her skills, which is just lovely flute. So yeah, that was a little bit of a touch on that. Another part of that song, or the relationship it has with hip hop, is it was sampled by Diggable Planets on their album Blowout Cone. And so basically with hip hop music or rap music in the 90s, we call it the golden era. And the producers of the time, they were using drum machines, and they had all grown up at home in the hood, basically listening to jazz music. That's what their parents played. So they elevated towards that when they got the new technology, which was the drum machines, and started to create their sounds with the music that they grew up on. And as I mentioned earlier on in the show, that's why I gravitated towards jazz music when I started to really get exposed to it. Now, that was a bit of Blue Note. Now we're going to move over. So with jazz is like labels for me. I always look out for the labels on the vinyl, and that was Blue Note. Now we're just going to get into a bit of CTI, which was Creed Taylor International Records, and one of his huge artists who was sampled, probably one of the most sampled composers and writers by rap music, was Bob James. Now this song here, it could be considered a bit cheese, but I think it's a really nice song, and so I usually play it at home when I'm having a glass of vino in the evening and kind of reminisce on the good old days. So this is the theme from Taxi, Angela. So that's a familiar tune to many who were born before 1990. So yeah, that album, that whole album has a lot of heavyweights on it, such as Ron Carter, Steve Gadd on drums, Eric Gale on guitar, Earl Clue on guitar, Hubert Laws on flute, Idris Muhammad on drums, Dave Sanborn sax, Mongo Santa Maria, with percussion. So huge names on there, and so Creed Taylor's label plus his subsidiaries at that time were Tappan Zee and Kudu. They were two other labels, and they just put out so much music in the 70s, especially that we can go to anytime we need to really ground ourselves in soul jazz. And so really grateful for the work that those labels did, and also Verve and Blue Note to really get jazz out there. But of course with CTI, Creed Taylor Records, that sound is really clean. So in the 70s, there was no longer like the whole band in one room with one mic. It was the technology and the sound of that label was really stand out for us. I'm going to keep it in the same label, same artist, Bob James, but now I'm going to go a little bit darker with his album titled One. He put out 4 records, Bob James 1, Bob James 2, Bob James 3, and Bob James 4. This record has been sampled by a lot of rap artists and producers, including Run DMC. They had a huge hit with Beats to the Rhyme. So this is called Nautilus by Bob James. Favorite bit. So kia ora koutou katoa, you're tuned into Talking All That Jazz. I'm Nat Lover. We're on Access Manawa 2, which is 99 999 AM or accessmanawa2.co.nz. So that was some classic Bob James, lots of that beautiful 73 roads all over it, off that classic sound from the CTI label. And I was talking about sampling, the influence that sampling jazz had on hip hop. So I'm just going to give you a quick example before I flip over to the next track. I've got a loop function in my mixer right now. So that last song I just played, to give you an example of how you could compose a hip hop beat, will go like this. Just a basic loop. That's how it really all began. And Bob James he's just been sampled to death. One of his songs called Take Me to the Mardi Gras, his version of it was sampled so much that he ended up suing a huge amount of producers in the 90s and labels for using it and making millions off his composition. So the next artist I'm going to play is one of the legends of contemporary music, black music, and that's Quincy Jones. He's been making music like Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock and that for six decades, and I recommend reading his autobiography as well. It's a really good read. He did come from he had a tough upbringing, I'll put it that way. Now this song is called Summer in the City, and one of those hot summer days where you can see the heat rising off the concrete, that's when you want to just be playing this song. It's just perfect with a cold beer. man Quincy Jones. So this is talking all that jazz. I'm Nat Lover. I'm a local Palmerston North producer, rapper, and DJ. I'd like to thank Access 102 for having me here today, and the Halcyon. A big up to Ali and Wade. So this is my last song for the show. I'm gonna take you out on a song called "When We Get By" an artist called D'Angelo. This album came out on his album on Brown Sugar in around 1995, and we were in high school and heard this music, and we just blew our minds. So it had a real jazz feel for something that was pushed into the mainstream at that time in the R&B space. So that was me again, Nat Lover. Look out for me on all the platforms. Follow me. I got a new EP out called Crown Heights on Bandcamp, so you can go and listen to that if you want. And yeah, peace out and listen to lots of jazz because it's really good for your health. Okay, thank you.
You have been listening to radio with a live audience on Access Manawatu, and in some cases witnessing radio with a live audience on Access Manawatu. A big thank you to Nat Lover for this special programme for the series with Talking All That Jazz. Also a big thank you to Halcyon Cafe on Cuba Street in Palmerston North. A really awesome and creative and inspiring space. Keen to work with the community. If you have ideas of things to do here, they really want to hear from you. If you want to listen to more episodes in this series of radio with a live audience, check out accessmanawatu.co.nz. Special episodes of Blank Verse. We've also got episodes with Eddie, Matt and Glenn in the EMG audio archive. Another one for you if you are a vinyl or slightly more avant-garde music genre fan. And of course we have another episode, Palmy Pride with a live audience. accessmanawatu.co.nz for more information there. We're hoping to have YouTube videos up of these sessions as well. Again, a big thank you to Nat Lover and Halcyon for this second in the series of Radio with a Live Audience on Access Manawatu 999 AM.
Access Manawatu is a non-profit radio station.
We exist to help people from Manawatu make programs just like this one.
All of our shows are free to listen to and free to make.
If you like what you hear and you'd like to help us make more,
You can donate through our website.
go to www.accessmanawatu.co.nz and click on the donate link on the front page to help us keep on giving people their fair share of the air.